Okay, good. Okay, we got to mark our okays. So, Maide Yazar started volunteering when she was in high school in her community. Her involvement in business and professional women started in 2011 when she joined North Toronto BPW in Ontario here. Her business and professional women experience includes Vice President Resolutions, North Toronto, First Vice President and Chair of Resolutions, BPW Ontario, President, BPW Ontario, Vice President Resolutions, BPW Canada. And those years just, they're all pretty well filled in there since she started. Wow. Maide is the VP and convener of resolutions for the Provincial Council of Women of Ontario. That's from 2016 to 2024. She is also currently chair of investments at North Toronto BPW and chair advocacy and public affairs BPW Ontario from 2020 to 24, and assistant executive secretary, BPW International Executive for the past 4 years. Maide is trained in women's empowerment principles, that's the WEPs, and sustainable development goals, and she is a member of the Canadian Coalition for Empowered Women. I'm honored that you're here. Maide is committed to advocacy for women's equality, including gender, economic parity, women's empowerment principles, and women in STEM occupations. She's been a delegate to the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women since 2022. And in her professional life, Maide has over 30 years of experience in healthcare, both as a senior administrator and a management consultant. She has a deep working knowledge across the continuum of care and in-depth experience in many program areas. For her many engagements, Maide has established strong working relationships with key senior healthcare stakeholders, and her strength lies in ensuring deep stakeholder engagement in projects, consensus building among diverse participants, and achieving a realistic and long-range view of health service transformation. Maide, thank you very, oh no, you're still here. There's still more.
Well,
That's good.
Circulated to the folks, so I think we can start.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here to talk to us about your how BPW supports women all over the world. Maide Yazar.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. It's an honor to be with the Niagara Club. It's an honor to be with friends from across the country, Dawn, Norma, Barbara. I'm just going to put on my PowerPoint. Can everybody see that?
Oh, not yet.
I know why you can't see it, because I didn't push the right button. Let me just share. Can you see that now? Yes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me put it onto a slide mode. Okay. Well, between Anne and everyone, there's been a nice setup for this presentation. Anne has shared more of the history than I thought I would have time to share. So it's really wonderful that we can see the arc of BPW, what is BPW. As you know, for the last 3+ years, I've been helping Jenny keep track of the minutes and action items for the International Executive. And I took that advantage of those 3.5 years to travel as much as I could within the BPW sphere. And this is sort of my very high level presentation to you about connecting with sisterhood, experiencing the marvelous and diverse world in which we live in and in which we advocate as BPW women. A bit about BPW International. I will not repeat what Anne has said, but there may be some additional things. This is a fisheye view of the Congress that just finished. It's been taken, the picture is being taken from the point of view of the executive sitting in the podium. And if you look way to your left, you will see my sister Hatice and the 3-minute takers for the meeting. Hatice, and behind her at this picture, she's not sitting, but Marie-Chantal Hamel of BPW Montreal helped timekeeping. So Hatice and Marie-Chantal kept time, which became ever more important as the Congress progressed. Hidden from the view on the left, you just see tip of a table. That's the parliamentarian table. And I sat there as a parliamentarian. Marlene McKinnon of BPW Ontario president served as the chief parliamentarian with me as parliamentarian, and Lee Walwyn and Shaz Hazel from BPW St. Kitts served as parliamentarians as well. They were in a learning mode. And you see the 125 voting delegates lined up in front and many more observers lined up at the back. So as has been mentioned, we were founded in 1930. We got consultative status with the United Nations. We lobbied for the formation of the Commission on Status Women. We have 21 members, volunteers, serving as representatives of International Federation of Business and Professional Women embedded in various United Nations agencies. And this list is important because if it affects your work, here's a connection to make with women working at the highest levels of lobbying for women's rights. We have also consultative status with the Council of Europe and member of civil society of Organization of American States. That last piece I did not know, which might be of use to BPW Canada as we pull all levers for all action. This map is an older map. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to extract the newer map from the slide presentation of VP membership, but at the moment we're in 120 countries, 24,921 members, 43 federations, and 103 affiliates. We are literally across the globe, and the only place where we don't have members is Antarctica. And I'm sure some BPW members do manage to work in Antarctica as part of their work. We're governed by a board of directors made up of federation and club affiliates, presidents, delegates. General assemblies held every 3 years at Congress to elect the executive and regional coordinators. The executive is delegated to conduct operations during a triennium. They're provided a budget, and they use toolkits that they inherit the history of historically, and it's a massive operation, honestly, done on really thin resources, but it is done. We're guided by governance documents, which are on the website, the Constitution, the regulations, policies, procedures, and minor tweaks made with relevant motions at GAs, at General Assemblies, as to the preferences of the members on how business is conducted. And all federations and affiliates must be compliant and aligned with international governance documents, exceptions to comply with local requirements. So that's a bit of a governance overview, if we will. We're organized in 5 regions, as you know, with Asia Pacific, because of its huge geography and membership, is divided into 4 sub-regions. Any country with 3 or more affiliates can form a federation, and the membership on the board of directors and the number of delegates is dependent on whether you're a founding federation and the number of members you have. Canada happens to be a founding federation, therefore it doesn't really matter how many members we have unless we go beyond the threshold of the 3. Many standing committees, and the standing committees are mandated by the Constitution, and this, you can see the list. These were elected at the General Assembly, the chairs of these, and they'll be coming to look for members. So if anything interests you, for example, I can think of agriculture, Niagara region, and of course, you have many other interests in the Niagara Club, so Niagara Falls Club, so think about those. There are ad hoc committees. The last time, Constitutional Advisory, German Feminist Foreign Policy, Resolutions, and Women's 7. And I'll come back to Women's 7 as an immediate advocacy opportunity for BPW Canada. As I mentioned, there are 21 UN representatives. There are many task forces formed, depending on the priorities and interests of membership and the triennium theme that the president has just chosen. There are 5 regional committees, and There are committees to support the executive, UN membership, finance, and young BPW. These all represent participation at the international opportunity for any member to participate at the international level. I wanted to also stress the point that our involvement in, I don't want to just stress the international picture here. Our involvement as you, the people on the call are very active in their clubs. So really the involvement begins at the club level, filters up to Ontario, Canada, region, and international. And there are many opportunities to volunteer based on your interests. The things that help is, newsletters are published by almost at every level. So subscribe to those. Webinars and podcasts are held at every level. Participate in those. Make one up and deliver it. Visit websites, review the content. Anne just made the point that this is very important. Sign up for the International Business Directory. Sign up for International Projects Directory. These got support at Congress and will continue. Participate in fundraising campaigns, the earthquake in Turkey, the situation in Ukraine, the situation in the Middle East, there's lots to do. Sign petitions, follow on social media, work on a committee and task force at every level. Attend virtually or in person UNCSW, NGO CSW. This is a very important thing that I want to mention to you, that you don't actually have to go to New York to be part of a very powerful process, because a lot of events are online and there's an opportunity to participate as a delegate online. So I cannot stress this enough, an opportunity for the club to form a little work group that participates and then shares within your club and perhaps within Ontario. Provide feedback when requested, that the CSW statement, for example, the end statement is out already. Participate at the annual BPW Leader Summit in New York City. That's in person. Be involved in projects, be involved in your club, participate district meetings, right, Barb? Visit
Absolutely.
Yeah. And there's a lot of meat in those district meetings. It's the tip of the iceberg. Visit other clubs virtually or in person, just like we're doing now. Attend provincial, national, regional, global meetings. Study governance documents. Learn parliamentarianism, because that is, I'm discovering, a very important skill set for effective meetings. Stand for election at every level. Submit resolutions, commendations at every level. And be enthusiastic member and volunteer. We can't all give hours and hours to this volunteer effort, but when we're very busy, we can at least sort of be mindful and be present, and then wait for an opportunity where our lives are not so busy to participate. So this to me is the most important slide of all the things that I have to share with you. And I'm sure you guys you can think of other things that should be here. But the important lesson is, at all levels, all these things are possible. And anything you add to it is always welcome by at all levels, because the leadership is always looking for participants and volunteers for committees. Dawn can speak to or has already mentioned the UN committee, and she can speak to that. There are, very, very great opportunities. So my story has been mentioned, so we'll move along. In terms of what I did since I joined in 2011. So I'm going to move along. You were asking months accomplishments. Well, my month's accomplishment is I went to St. Kitts and happened to mention to President Catherine Bossart that I was interested in parliamentarianism and wanted to learn more. And Norma knows my interest in this, which I will pursue with her because she's chairing a committee for that. So that got translated into Maide to be a parliamentarian. So after if you'll pardon the expression among us girls, after I wet my pants, I immediately thought of who's better than me at parliamentarianism. I know Norma wasn't coming to Congress, so I turned to Marlene. So, and Marlene being Marlene accepted. And then we found the two ladies from St. Kitts. They're both lawyers, just on point, sharp. So we had a slow start day one, but after that, It was Robert's Rules of Order all the way. So a view of St. Kitts, a beautiful place, beautiful people, very comfortable. You land and I don't know, even before you meet anybody, you feel, ah, my goodness, it's nice to be here. Day one was hot as hell when we were there on Friday the 16th. Honestly, I thought I didn't melt into a puddle, but after that, it just became just hot rather than hellish hot. Apparently, it was a very unusual occurrence. They've never had this before. So Canada, yay, had 11 people at the conference. The 3 delegates, 1 alternate, and the rest of us, either because people like Jenny are on the executive, former executive, Karen incoming executive. So there was people from Montreal, people from North Toronto, and I'm drawing a blank, but you know what I mean. And Karen was there as well, and Colleen Bobek, of course. And so it was really nice to have such a large number from Canada, and I hope 2027 will add to that. Sometimes people ask, well, what happens at Congress? I did a quick summary of the agenda. It starts pre-Congress with regional meetings and preparatory meetings, and then Congress Day 1 starts with every day starts with a plenary session of a very interesting speaker, and then there are business sessions, and every evening has a event. The special event this year for Congress was Governor General's reception. Of course, we being a member of the Commonwealth, the way St. Kitts is, we relate to that and we recognize what an honor it is. Last day, it finishes with handover meetings and the first meeting of the new executive takes place. What did we achieve in Congress? Well, we elected a new executive. We gave them an operational budget to work with. We approved 6 external resolutions and we approved 2 out of the 8 internal resolutions. There were panels and workshops. We learned a lot and we celebrated with each other. 6 internal resolutions and constitutional regulatory amendments were tabled. And a process has been set up over the next year to get those discussed, approved, or revised and approved. The new executive is Diana Barnagan as president. Dr. Catherine stays for a year on the executive. Nalima Basnet is first VP UN. Francesca Barak, second VP UN. Executive financial officer is a delightful woman from Gudrun Jakobsdottir from Iceland. She's just going to be the sharpest, and she's a she's what I would call a dolphin, so she'll be good for us. Executive Secretary is Carolyn Savage, and young BPW is Isadora from Brazil. The main, of course, the part of the executive also are the regional coordinators. Bertuler, Betty Masavi from Tanzania for Africa, Dr. Herlin from Asia Pacific, Annie Wicks, Europe, this is her second term, and Olga Ohumada, I should say Professor Olga from Argentina. And of course, last but not least, these are all listed in alphabetical order in the executive papers, who's our Karen Gorgerat for NAC, North America and the Caribbean. So the new president, Diana, said, I did not expect to get elected. Well, but she did pull herself together and through some discussion with the new executive, pulled this banner theme for the next 3 years. Inspire, innovate, empower, transform. Together, we will share a sustainable future. And the young people sort of said, well, we have to talk about sustainable future. So she added that. The 4 official languages, English, French, Italian, and Spanish. The resolutions which we'll be interested in, because every club in BPW Canada, thankfully, is interested in resolutions and take turns stepping up with resolutions. And I thought you'd be interested in knowing what was passed because this is what the UN representatives will be presenting in the UN, and we can present to our federal and provincial governments saying, look, this is important to us. Look, this is what we're looking for. Accessible, affordable, flexible, high quality childcare, action on pay discrimination, addressing modern trends in human mobility. Jenny and the president put that together from the executive. Addressing modern slavery, action on climate change, health services and technology, ending online harm, care workers, underpaid, undervalued, under-resourced. And you can see that really, usually New Zealand dominates the resolutions field, New Zealand and UK. Look at that. Do you see the Canadian flag? Look at the Canadian flag. 3 Canadian resolutions, all approved without any dissension. Of course, at the Congress level, you submit your amendments and people entertain them. So what goes to the Congress is voted on without discussion. If you don't like it, you vote against it. If you like it, you vote for it, and whatever results is either becomes policy or is abandoned. So I'm very proud of the fact that 3 Canadian resolutions plus our Jenny with the executive put one together as well. And you may know that she is chair of the task force on human mobility for BPW. Of course, the task forces expire, and if people are interested, they have to be renewed. A pitch is made to executive for a task force. BPW calendar under development. It never ends. There's one thing after another, and so I probably missed some things here. The next big thing is, of course, New York City, the Leaders Summit, NGO CSW Consultation Day, participation on CSW, UN. But if you don't participate in the UN, you can participate in NGO CSW. Really, all of us can participate. You don't have to be a delegate to participate in the NGO stream. Nevertheless, it's a very powerful stream, and they ask your opinion. So as Niagara Falls, you can actually be heard at the highest levels. Europe region is the first up with the regional meetings. That'll be in Malta in May. Global Summit of Women, in which BPW participates every year, July. And then in 2026, a lineup of Africa, Asia Pacific, Latin America, and NAC is going to be in September in Toronto. So here's the opportunity, Dawn. Come to the North America Caribbean meeting, if not before, and we can take a trip down to Niagara Falls. I'm sure there'll be a side trip offered to the delegates to see the falls, and we can meet our sisters in Niagara Falls. And 2027 is the International Congress. The president was born in Ecuador, so she's espousing Ecuador, but nothing is done till there's a budget. So she made that very clear. First the budget, then we will talk. 2028 Europe region has already been decided into the next triennium. Vilnius, Lithuania. They move fast, those Europeans. So BPW at BPW international level, BPW Canada at BPW international level, we had Jenny on the executive. We had Kelly Franklin as the chair of the Human Anti-Trafficking Task Force. We had Dawn Nason as member of UN. Colleen as member of Health Committee. We had 17 delegates to CSW. Shan, Karen, Colleen were delegates to the Congress with Kelly as alternate. 11 BPW Canada members, including them, participated. And we were well represented as General Assembly officials, Marlene, myself, Hatice, Marie Chantal. And we submitted 3 resolutions to the Congress. So that's pretty well my pitch to you in terms of, I hope that is interesting. And I try to, make it interesting for you, but I'm going to answer questions. But before we do, here, I have thousands of pictures and I didn't really know what to choose. I also had video tapes, but I didn't have time to do the transfer because they're too big to go through sort of a regular sharing process. But, here's a group chilling in Bahrain. So that was the Asia Pacific meeting. Here is the current BPW executive. Apologies for the spelling error being sewn in. Yeah, being sworn in Moncton this year. This is Trudy and I. Trudy runs or did till a couple of weeks ago, run the president's office. And this time around, I think Yasmin Darwich, who's a past president, maybe asked to run the office. Trudy, unfortunately, is very sick. She's a dear person. You'll never know the effort she made to make everything like there would be, the executive met regularly in Sonnenmoser in Switzerland, halfway between Geneva and Zurich, because Catherine was born there and she could manipulate the hotel to give us the good price. And she had access to her own chalet, so she could house staff less expensively. So we ended up in Sonnenmoser, but it involved train rides. And in Switzerland, trains are so painfully on time that you can really regulate your life with it. So Trudy would say at 10:11, be at this spot, because at 10:12, the train is departing and it's not going to wait for you. So she was wonderful arranging, for 22 people every year, where to be and when, if you wanted to arrive at Sonnenmoser at a time that the president had indicated would work for her. And it's always all about working for the president. There's Jenny and Maide, and the pictures in the mountains. This one is a view from the meeting room. Imagine having a meeting room with this mountain. However, the work was so intensive that after a while you had to close your eyes and just not think about where you were. And then this is a view, the sun setting from the chalet where staff stayed. This is a view again coming back to Moncton. Our two favorite twins enjoying the Lobster Fest. So this just goes to show you, going all around the world. This screenshot from the plane going from Istanbul to Bahrain for the Asia Pacific conference. I call it threading the needle because this was during the time of very intensive war action among all the usual suspects, and the pilot had to thread the needle to avoid the bombs. So we survived that. You can tell here there's a regional breakout session up here on the upper corner, International Leaders Summit, the executive taking the sun in Sonnenmoser, BPW Canada membership length of service certificates, me learning a new skill here on decoupage, and up here is just the usual handsome BPW members. The lady in the hat is Hiba from Djibouti. I will learn to pronounce it eventually. She's the president of the BPW Djibouti. And then going further, the gang in New York having dinner together. This one where you see the tree, this tree of life in Bahrain just grows out of the desert. They don't know how or why, and we're very thankful for it. More executive and friends. This is again the regional get-together at the Leaders Summit. This is the executive in Sonnenmoser. And most important of all, the most meaningful to us is this. I tell you, I will never forget the goosebumps I got when this is the one of the visitor galleries to the General Assembly. And I will never forget the goosebumps I got when I walked there and felt the power of the room. If you look very closely down the second to right row, you will see Bob Ray and the Canadian contingent. He's always very kind to us, talks to us. As you know, my opinion of the current Minister of Wage is, I like her as a person, but she could certainly have a much more powerful voice. So that's it, really. And I'm just going to answer your questions. I will stop sharing.
Do we have hands or, yeah? Anybody have a question?
I just want to mention, is it at all possible for you, Maide, to send us this presentation so that the attendees can receive it?
Yes, I meant to earlier, just as an insurance, in case I had trouble. And yes, of course, I'll share it.
Thank you.
And there's nothing in there that's not in the public domain or pictures without permission. Everything is with permission.
Maide, as I was listening to you, there was a lot of detail there. Can you tell us one of the most interesting or exciting events that you have been to and what was involved in it? Like it could have been just the travel part, or you shared some of them, but was there something that really stands out that you experienced internationally?
It's regular as clockwork. You know, when you go to any meeting like BPW North Toronto or your meeting here, Canada, Ontario, you know, regional meetings, it's always the same. You just sort of you go into the room and your jaw drops. You know, you sort of everybody. There's always a like just like you did today. There's always some kind of introductory process, and you go, oh my God, you know, like the power is palpable and tangible. And just like Niagara Falls, I mean, you know, the projects you do, well, multiply that, what did we say, 120 clubs?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, there are regional activities. On top of that, there's the BPW International, on-site task forces, committees, UN dialogue, you know, like it just that's what strikes me. There's no I think I was moved by the Tree of Life.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I was moved by when we went to Tanzania for the Africa meeting. The organizers had organized a safari. They offered a safari, and it just so happened that my sister and I and President Catherine and her husband Louis, who is the best man in existence, that just he supported Catherine despite his health issues. He was always there for the president, just an incredible man, and just very modest, you know, accomplished man, a professor, university professor, just like Catherine is. And we went on safari.
Oh.
For reasons I will not get into, it was just the four of us. Anyway, so I would recommend everyone to go on safari because it changed me and it made me a much better participant in BPW Africa meeting, which was, well, it had the usual BPW drama, but it also had the usual BPW joy. Like when the Bertelier, who's head of the Tanzania club, realized that not many of us had brought yellow outfits, despite the fact that she had made it clear we needed to bring something yellow.
Oh.
She went out and bought a huge eel of yellow lace and cut it out and sold it to us for $20 a piece, saying, put it on. Yes. And I mean, I knew the circle of life, and I knew that you cannot pull one thread out of this ecosystem without causing disaster. I knew that. But seeing it, you know, the lion lying next to the jeep, sort of going, "¿Qué pasa?" You know, just to relax with her cubs, and the leopard way back in the trees going, "Leave me alone." And you know, you look at the horizon and you ask your driver, you say, "What is that shadow that's moving? Is that a cloud?" He says, "No, that's a bull elephant." Huge thing. Every other elephant you can barely see, you know. And seeing the hippopotamus sort of wallow in the mud, happy as a clam, alligators getting ready for lunch, tick-ticks, all sorts of gazelles, tick-ticks, understanding how a banana grows. I didn't know that.
Okay.
Banana grows once. You have to keep planting and cutting. You can't use the same thing again.
Oh.
You know, just, and then I forgot to put here, and I'm going to add it to the slide deck before I send it to you. I'm on the plane heading out of Tanzania, going to Addis Ababa to transfer to go home. And I'm sitting on the right side of the plane. I'm dozing because I'm exhausted. I open my eyes and I go, OMG, what is that? And the steward who happens to be going by says, that's Mount Kilimanjaro.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
God was with me because I could have missed
yes,
it because my eyes were closed.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So every time you get together with BPW, you sort of go, that's my.
Thank you for that, Maide. Barb, you have a question.
Actually, it wasn't a question. It was just to thank Mighty so much. You know, in the 22 years that I've been with BPW, no one has ever taken the time to go through all of this. And I am amazed, and I'm sure there are many others here as well. But absolutely amazed with just the breadth of this organization. This
Yes.
was honestly a real, true eye opener, and thank you so much for it.
Well, yes. I think we're here and it's hard to see the bigger picture if we don't really keep our hands in the pot to see it. It's just us, right? But it's not, it's huge. It's huge. Any other questions for Miss Maide? Dawn.
Yes, if I might, thank you. Maida, I'm wondering what's next for you with BPW. You do so many things. Is there something you particularly want to focus on that perhaps those of us here this evening may understand and may support you in your chosen role?
It's a temporary thing. G7 is in Canada next year. Apparently, we're Mr. Trudeau is president this year. It's come around so quickly. It was 2018. Remember, we met with some representatives and gave them our opinion about women's issues priorities, but we weren't really involved in the process. And I learned in St. Kitts, Germany, Christine Heinze, who chairs the G7 W7 response from Germany because Germany was the president this year. So I want to emulate that. I want us to be a part of what they call the W7 process alongside G7. And I think it would be of interest. It's going to be a lot of work, but it'll be a limited work. It'll be less than a year. So I think we can find members who are Abigail Patterson. Are you listening? I think
I am.
yeah, I think we can find members and potential members who will help with the process. So I'm going to put together a little thought piece for Shan and see what we can do. And for Karen, because NAC and Canada really work very well together. So I think that's what I'm going to espouse. Either be part of it or make sure it's done. Not be part of it, but make sure it's done. I did get suckered into taking the first minutes of the first executive. So, but I have, as many of you know, I have a personal priority of helping newcomers and refugees who are Turkish language speaking. So I have to really be careful that, realistically, we should only be working 8 hours a day, whatever we do.
Yes.
So, but you'll hear about the W7 process.
Thank you. That's exciting.
Yeah, I didn't know. Who knew? And apparently there's a W7 report in our task force report. So
Okay.
that really, as Anne said, Anne has set an example for us. Go in there and hunt and look
Yes.
for things. It's a very rich. I know the website is a bit difficult to navigate, but it's rich.
Yes.
And under this new administration, it may become more user-friendly, but hopefully it will not lose its richness.
I can't tell you how much I've learned today, both from you and the searching I did. One of the comments that I really celebrated
Someone commented, and this is in the searching I did, BPW International is recognized by stakeholders as the advocacy and business gender specialists. Which is pretty.
Yeah, the trust in us is shown by something called WISH, WISH. Search for it on the website. It is a UN Women has engaged with BPW International.
Yeah.
For a 7-year project to be possibly extended to develop entrepreneurship among women. And right now there are many projects coming to fruition in Africa under always the BPW club leadership with money from the private sector, the project approved by UN Women. I did talk to UN Women representative who's sort of the power behind the throne, who happens to be a Turkish lady. I said, you know, where's Canada in this? She sort of said, you know, you're a developed country. I said, yes, some parts of us are developed. There's a 50% gap in economic parity among Arab women, disabled women, queer women. 84% achieved by full-time people, working people, and then it just keeps going down and down. We can use some entrepreneurial spirit, develop, you know, usual thing about small business is the engine of the economy and women are the engine of small business. So I think you should take a look at that and study it as a club, because there's a lot of information available on the website. Study it as a club, see what you think.
Thank you for that.
Maida, can we count on you to let us know whatever it is you're up to that we can help with?
Oh, I'm shameless, you know that.
Well, that's true, but that's okay. Being friends has made a difference too.
Oh gosh.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed preparing it. I must tell you, it was a nice, you know, I started to prepare it like 2 days ago after Congress wound down, and it really helped me recenter myself, because Congress, for those of you who have been, is a tough go for one reason or another. It's never the same reason. You guys helped center me, so thank you for that.
Well, thank you, Maide. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us and your experience with us, and especially the story about the safari and Mount Kilimanjaro. Oh my gosh, my heart just went, ooh, just like yours must have. So we are really honored. Jocelyn, do you have something?
Yes, in the chat, I see that Norma had to leave and she had to head out to another meeting. And before anyone else needs to leave, I would love to take a group photo of all of us.
Oh,
And
yes, we
if
must.
you'd like to be on camera, you can. It's not mandatory. So I'll just wait for a second. Right. Almost ready. Yes, I have it. Thank you.
Thank you. If you don't mind sending that to me, Jocelyn, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, and if you'll keep that, once you get around to it, because I know how busy you are, if you want to send us the PDF, I will distribute it to the attendee this evening.
One thing to also stress that, you know, when I was looking for volunteers, you know, the Canadian group formed a WhatsApp group for Congress. Remember, Congress, if you're entirely French-speaking Canadian, don't know a word of English, does not matter. You can participate. That's another beauty of Congress. It's totally quadrilingual, and should not stop any Canadian sister from participating.
Fascinating. Oh my goodness.
Okay, let's have a hand for Maide and let her go, because I know she has to be out of here by 8:15. Thank you, Maide.
Thank you.
This was awesome and eye-opening.
Thank you so much. And kudos to you, Niagara Falls. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Whew. Anybody need to stand up or do anything while we're,
Yes, I will stop the recording.